When a Los Angeles City prosecutor took down an intruder lurking in his garage, he had no idea how twisted and dark the strange situation would get. And when it was all over, grasping for a reason why it might have happened, he wondered if diet pills might have been a reason for the shocking crime. I'm Chris, and this is True Crime Recaps. Jose Garza heard his 3 dogs barking and had a hunch that he might be in danger. At 51 years old, he was a longtime veteran of the Los Angeles City Prosecutor's Office, and experience had taught him to trust his gut instincts. He had been on his way out to the garage to grab a diet ice cream bar for his wife Nicole, but when he heard the commotion from the dogs, he detoured to the bathroom to get his .45 from its hiding place. It was just before 11 p.m. on September 25, 1996, in the Sylmar neighborhood of the San Fernando Valley outside of Los Angeles. As it turned out, Jose's instincts were right. When he entered the garage, an intruder wearing a dark hoodie, black wig, and black goggles fired 3 shots at him. Luckily, they missed, but Jose was a better shot. He took aim and bullets hit his attacker in the chest and stomach. The burglar went down and Jose called 911. He didn't pull off the intruder's goggles to get a better look at the intruder. He left that for police. After all, what did it matter? He and his family were safe now. Or so he thought. Jose was on his 3rd marriage to a woman almost 20 years younger than him by the name of Nicole. She was also previously divorced and a new lawyer specializing in divorce and family law. In fact, 2 years after passing the bar, she represented him in his 1992 divorce from his second wife, according to court records obtained by the LA Times. Together, they were raising 3 kids, and from his perspective, they'd never been happier. Nicole had even lost 60 pounds over the last 5 months and claimed to be thrilled with their relationship and her career. When police arrived on the scene, Jose pointed out the shooter's gun where it had fallen in the garage, but officers found something he hadn't noticed. The burglar was wearing a wristband. Attached to it was a key to a Ford Explorer. It's standard practice for a homeowner to be questioned when something like this happens, and Jose certainly knew that, thanks to his work as a deputy prosecutor. As he and his family headed for the station, his main concern was making sure the police agreed that it was what's called a good shooting, meaning there would be no questions of liability or criminal charges, considering that he was just defending himself and his property against an armed intruder. An intruder who was still alive and being taken to intensive care at a nearby hospital. At the station, the couple was separated before being interviewed, and detectives couldn't help but notice that Nicole and Jose could not have been acting more differently. Jose was in prosecutor mode, trying to get the whole situation resolved quickly and cleanly, while Nicole seemed to be totally unaffected by what had happened to her husband in the garage. According to an interview the detective did with the Oxygen Network, she looked like she didn't have a care in the world. But that was just another act for a woman that had been living a lie for quite a while. And detectives were about to learn how cold-hearted she really was. The biggest clue to the night's terror lay in the identity of the shooter. It was Nicole's older sister, Lynette LaFontaine Trujillo. She was a divorced 34-year-old mother of 4 working as a waitress and living with her mother in Sherman Oaks, a half an hour away from her sister's house. Her kids lived with their respective fathers, while Annette struggled with addiction issues and eating disorders. But why would she be in disguise shooting at her sister's husband? I'm sure you can take a guess, and if your thoughts are running to a nefarious plot masterminded by the intended victim's wife, Nicole, you would be right. And that's what the police thought too, but they certainly weren't about to let Nicole or Jose know what they suspected or who they'd discovered lying in the hospital bed with a bullet wound. Back at the station, they started asking some very pointed questions about Lynette to try and understand what was going on. Jose was confused by this new line of questioning, but Nicole didn't say a word about it. Meanwhile, the police went searching for the SUV belonging to the key Lynette was wearing around her wrist, and it didn't take them long to find the Explorer parked only a few blocks away from the house. When they looked inside, their attention was immediately caught by a bag filled with pieces of damp, shredded paper on the passenger seat. When they looked closer, they could see that the papers were covered with writing. This case was turning into a puzzle, literally. It took a team of officers to painstakingly reassemble the ripped-up notes, but as the pieces started to fit together, it quickly became clear that they were holding the answer to the mystery in their hands. Phrases began to emerge, forming a bigger picture that promised Lynette money, security, and a better life. All she had to do was get rid of Jose Garza. 1.5 minutes of terror and a 360-degree turnaround in your life, the note said, according to the LA Times. I'm sure the list can go on and on what a tremendous domino effect your action will have to better the lives of so many people. The handwritten letter was proof of Nicole's plot to make herself a wealthy widow with Lynette's help. The two sisters were only 2 years apart, and they'd always been close. Friends and family remembered them as smart and popular in high school. In her senior year, Lynette was voted the girl with the longest hair and forever on a diet, according to the LA Times. In the same article, Nicole was described as academic, quick, and bored by schoolwork she could complete without really trying. It seems Nicole was even smarter about how to manipulate her older sister. The shredded notes encouraged her to pull the trigger, saying, "You have the mental stamina to do it and forget it. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for," according to Oxygen.com. It went on to give instructions for a disguise. Wear a wig, no makeup, bring your gloves. As an investigator said to Oxygen.com, it was an instruction manual on how to commit murder, complete with directions about the weapon, saying, bullets go in facing toward the front of the gun, and even telling her what to aim for. First one to the back, which will hopefully knock him down. 2 in the back if he doesn't go down with first. Nicole and Jose had been married only 4 years, and she spent a quarter of that time plotting his demise. She frequently turned to her sister for help and advice, laying a foundation for her twisted plan by telling her her new husband was abusing her at home, something which was absolutely not true. But Nicole had her eye on Jose's sizable life insurance policy and LA County pension, and she was prepared to use her sister's increasingly desperate financial situation to get what she wanted. And on the night before the attempted hit, she gave her sister one of Jose's many weapons and a key to the garage. 2 days later, Nicole was arrested, and 2 weeks after that, Lynette succumbed to her injuries, leaving her 4 kids without a mother. But despite the evidence against his wife, Jose refused to believe she wanted him gone. As a court officer told the LA Times, he finds this situation to be incomprehensible. He wondered if a weight loss drug that she may have taken could have caused this bizarre change in her behavior. But it was no mistake. Nicole was not the wife and mother he thought she was. She took a plea bargain to avoid a high publicity trial. By doing so, she spared her family even more pain, but the bigger temptation was the opportunity to earn an early release and start over after prison, which she did. She was sentenced to 15 years to life in January 1997, and according to Oxygen.com, she's already out of prison, married to another man, and living in Arizona. And that's your recap. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you like getting all the crime in half the time, you're going to want to subscribe and give this episode a like if you haven't already. It only takes a second, but it means the world to us. Amy and I are back on Wednesday with 2 recaps for you, or we'll see you here next Sunday. Thanks again. Until next time, take care.